Hello, hello. Welcome to your first video progress report. We are working with Mr. Oliver, and currently we are working on leave-its and desensitization to this front door. As you definitely know, he's got a bolting issue, and so the first way to tackle this is to make the door less exciting and to make sure he's listening to his new cue or revamped cue, leave it, with the front door. So that's exactly what Taylor's doing. I am messing with a little bit of triggers, okay? I'm messing with the door, making it very stimulating and enticing, but not overdoing it. We've done this with layers. So there wasn't a whole lot of opening of the door. It was just a little bit of tapping initially. So be mindful.
Oliver, leave it. No, sir.
So be mindful that we do have him on a long line. You had mentioned to us that he has nearly perfect behavior every time that he is leashed up, but it's off leash that you have issues. The good news about dogs is they don't really understand the notion of connectivity. So we're just able to attach a extended leash or a long line, and he doesn't really understand that he is in fact leash. So that gives us the leeway to, give him that illusion of freedom and choice making. But if he does choose to make the wrong choice, he cannot get away from us. So highly recommend looking into getting a long line. You can find those on Amazon. Really cheap. Yeah, perfect for practicing and creating real life situations with the full scope of safety. So this door is open. Good. A few things are happening. She is doing leave it and conditioning him to leave the door alone and to stop going for it, but he is also getting rewarded for just offering that leave it.
Yes.
Good. So that was a useful leave it right then. He was approaching the door. The door is wide open, but I am standing in the way. But when he offers it, when he just looks at it and then looks away, he's also going to get rewarded. So
leave it, Oliver. No, sir, you gotta leave it.
If he goes for it, however, this door is going to close. A really good way, like we've mentioned before, dogs are cause and effect. So if he walks towards the door without permission, the door is going to close every single time. And therefore will make him think that he is the one, in fact, making the door close in a way that is true. Him walking towards the door without permission is making the door close. So definitely be mindful of that. If you see him approaching the door without your permission, make sure that door closes every single time.
I want to add a quick thing to you about this. I'm also trying my best to let him mess up. I'm trying to not let him get to the end of this long line, to the best of my ability. Hey, can you leave it? Oliver, yes, good. Notice right there was no tension in this line, even though he's on a leash. I'm trying to let him understand he can still go forward, but I want him to make the decision without feeling the pressure on his chest. Doesn't mean we're going to go outside, no. Leave it. Oliver, yes, good boy. Basically, I'm trying to stimulate as if he's off leash. He's not off leash. However, again, we're not going to have the leash every single time he tries to bolt. So this is a really good way to, okay, you know what? Leave it. Yes, good job. Good boy. Now, we didn't start this off with less line. I started off over here with a short leash, and I brought it over this way. Okay, well, we did this so many times right here. Can you do this with a longer line? Can you still leave it without feeling pressure on your chest? Can you leave it? Oh, I know, it's hard. Reaching your end, I know. Oliver, can you leave it? Yes, good boy.
Good. Make no mistake about it, this exercise is very difficult, even with a long line. He's a very smart dog, but that does not mean that you want to skip any steps with this, because the way he focuses on the door, and even no matter what time of day, anytime he hears it, he's just much too aroused by it, and therefore means that we really need to take the time to make sure that we trust him when the door is open. So be mindful, take your time practicing this. Make sure that he is nice and secure. Long lines are wonderful. But of course, if you don't feel like working on this, which is totally fine, continue what you have been doing and just put him in the garage when you are opening the door. But that is this exercise for right now. Just working in those leave-its and desensitizing the door. And now we're going to go ahead and show you what wait looks like, an actual cue to teach him to back away from the door and stay away from the door. A little bit different than his initial sitting. All right, so now we're moving on to wait. And this is a little bit different than stay. We actually initially started the session with this, with your back door, but he was excelling so much. So let's talk about how wait is different than the sit at the door and stay. Stay is a fixed position, meaning he cannot move, which can be useful, but unfortunately, it doesn't really teach him to, respect boundaries. It's not exactly boundary training. And also when he's on leash, you ask him to sit before going through doorways, and that's a fantastic habit to have. However, that does require the leash to be on. So again, even though he is wearing a long line right now, he still has the opportunity to fail, so to speak, but we're not going to let him get away from us. So what's going on is we're actually teaching him wait. Wait means stay on that side. You know, stop trying to get past me. Wait on this side of the threshold, whatever the threshold may be. Most thresholds, we usually work with doors, but any, you know, a boundary can be anything. And what's wonderful is that your floor actually changes right here, which is a perfect way for you to practice wait, but keeping a nice safe distance away from the front door. If there's one thing that's really difficult, especially in multi-people homes, is that someone is going to leave the door open just a little too long. And so if he's conditioned to stay at this distance away from the door at the jump, then this will highly encourage him to not bolt, you know, really make it really difficult. Therefore, you guys have a little more space to close the door if he were in fact thinking about it. Obviously, this is just the preventative portion. We will get to the actual recall portion later, but we want to make sure that he's understanding the purpose, what he's supposed to be doing when the door is involved. Good. So very important with wait, he does not have to sit, he doesn't have to go down, he doesn't even have to look at us. If he actually chose to walk away, that would be beautiful. But wait just means stay on that side. And if he tries to push forward, Taylor is going to move into his space. So right now she's just kind of not letting him pass. Like when we say wait, you can't go forward. Like we said, that's all wonderful offered behavior. But if he didn't do any of that and all he did was stay on the other side of that line, that is still wait.
Wait.
And what's great about wait is it's very cause and effect. If he moves forward, Taylor will move in his space. So he quickly learns, all right, well, I can't move if she tells me that word. The front door is also open right now. I don't have it wide open. That would be way too much, asking way too much of him. We want to make sure that he succeeds, but we do not want to overwhelm him by any means. We want this to be something that he wants to perform.
Good boy. Wait.
The other thing that's happening here is that she is giving him treats and not quite releasing him. The treat is not an indicator of your freedom. And so she is making sure that even though he is getting his treats, you're still waiting, buddy boy. You're just getting rewarded for doing what I asked you to do. That doesn't mean that you're free to run out the door. And it seems like it's getting a little... Hello, I think.
I was like, something just, I heard something. You're fine. I'm sorry. I didn't close all the way. Oliver, wait. Good boy.
This exercise in particular, you cannot practice enough. It's very easy to practice, and you are practicing with him, you know, at that distance away from the front door. Eventually, we can do it at the door, but he does know to sit before going through doorways. So this is just something a little bit different, where you have to wait over there in order for this door to open, for things to happen. It's just your purpose to stay over there. Now, whenever we teach wait, a lot of times we don't end up using treats. Oftentimes the reward is allowing them to go through the door. However, he is not ready to be rewarded by going through the door quite yet, because he keeps trying to push through. So he's still in this whole learning process. We want to make sure...
Yes, good, leave it.
Good job. We want to make sure that he understands what wait is before we start rewarding him with actually going out. That way he doesn't start breaking it. I hope that makes sense. And just then, Taylor just threw in a leave it because he was just a little too overstimulated, trying to get past her. And so she swapped to another behavior, which we just practiced.
One more time. I'll let you go sniff this area. Wait. And you're free. You can go sniff the door.
Good. So to be crystal clear on what wait is, it is one of the few behaviors that you do go ahead and vocalize, just because we're not actually asking too much of him. We're just asking him to stop trying to get past us. The hand signal for wait is a 2-finger slash, either up or down. So up or down. And you just say wait, and make sure that you only say it once. You do not want to repeat yourself. If you need to say it again, just like any other cue, try to wait 8 to 10 seconds. And if he keeps trying to get past you, if it is just too hard, then your option is to swap to something else, whether it's, you know, leave it, eye contact, maybe even sit or touch, or increase the distance away from the door. Maybe you just need to try something a little bit different. So warm him up with the back door before using the front door. This is extremely difficult, but he is doing doing awesome. It's a fantastic session to see where he's at. Again, he is highly fixated on the door, so we're going to continue to chip away at this. But very, very much a pleasure working with him. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll see you later.
It's all